ladies and gentlemen, in this great auditorium. Ladies and gentlemen, let's all see once again the most decorated second lady in the history of Ghana's politics. There she comes, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. As she engages and meets with the distinguished ladies and gentlemen present here. Yes. What a historic reception. That is amazing. Yeah. Efedodo. Yes. The most productive, distinguished, iconic, decorated, second lady in the history of Ghana's politics, ladies and gentlemen. Bawumia, the second lady of the Republic of Ghana, and the incoming first lady, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. It is amazing, ladies and gentlemen. Let's usher in the most iconic, distinguished, decorated, present, and most visible second lady in the history of Ghana's politics. Yes, everybody that there's strength of mind. Yes, Her Excellency, the second lady of the Republic of Ghana, Bawumia, the ever gorgeous. Welcome, sir. Your friend Lydia, and my dear Lydia Seno. Now, your friend Sembo, I need your womb. Asia, of course, the most active, once again, the most decorated, the most present, the most visible second lady in the history of Ghana's political space, Her Excellency Bawumia. Put your hands together for the virtuous, the most visionary second lady.
Let me start by thanking you all for making time to join me today. Medamwasi, Yankupo Nshiramu Nyina Semwase Mwadaji, Ediabe Shiame. Say, it is to discuss our future, our collective future. It's a conversation we're having. Menemo base ebedin kitaho na mintie mwedu mansem na meso memfa medie ntudwa na Nyankopon ye yadom na sɛnea Yesu no. Inshallah, December 7th, Dr. Bawumia be President of Ghana, Moto Abane Edemana. Yes, so Yashe Kwanya, Edibeye Jumade, Edi Abwa creative industry. Na Ubioni Mibianim say, Medie, I love creatives. In fact, sometimes it even gets in the way of the way I enjoy creative works. Major movie, I'm looking at cinematography. I'm thinking about the thought process, the writing. Sometimes I don't even enjoy the movie for what it is, but that is how my mind works. It's not just a campaign stop for me. It is something that I'm passionate about. Me pese, me so, me nemo kamwasem, sebeya. More industry, no, of course, we all enjoy our music. Rappers are here. I'm on for her anymore. Means so be a rap music on. But I do enjoy it every now and again. But yes, as I said, this conversation is about our future. How do we ensure, our interest is carried through and this doesn't become just a talk shop? For me, it's about having people who genuinely care about the cause and also having a relationship with them, because I need to be able to have relationships with you such that sebibinia, because sometimes I'm buying to me and shishe, but the implementation no not be to sneak and I say it be a senior yesusu no ye nyanesa Inti say yenimo edin kita ho all the time and I say ye create access. I just say bibi e wo bia no obema ya swati. And I say bibi e say ye tinetine na na say yesisa na mama yehu na yetumi aye amanako kama. There are a few issues Minyaba Mrs. Joyce Atefa or your lawyer Nima Pa, lawyer Pinyimpa, and I was discussing this event with her. And now or my dream about how the laws now you're creating say how are even the people within the space abreast with Sa Emrana Ayashisheno, laws, the Creative Industry Act 2020, then we have Copyright Act. So are we familiar with it? Can we create spaces to me information now workshops so that you become abreast with it? And also, as a continuation to what the earlier speakers said, this industry exists on other things. It is not just about being able to have a camera to shoot a movie, but we have location, we have set. You need people who are trained to work with you. We have to look at what you do within the general ecosystem in which you exist. Not just say, abayin shishe na nkasa no esi ehwe se inshishe owo ana enyuma abayin ne does it inure to the benefits of industry no say ne kan no ene nyame chade light wo ho dum so ni hobby it influences how you do your work, and not just how you do how people consume your work. Because we are moving our light in so we have to think about what you do within a broader ecosystem. Now, say sometimes we get caught up in a few things. And where we've come from. So I'll just give you a little background of where we found ourselves when we came into office. GDP was growing at an average of 3.4% at the time. We of course went through dooms of almost 5 years. The tourism and arts sector felt the brunt of the economic crisis and dooms of the most. But under the NPP administration, we are recording, in spite of all the COVID, all the economic hardships, I think between 2017 and 2019, we're growing at an average of 7%. Of course, after COVID things did, but now we're also going up again. This year, we are expecting to grow around 4%, and the projections are even higher, so the economy is growing even more. There are trade surpluses, not just say, foreign exchange, free education, free TVET, STEM, infrastructure, be brain. Now, tourism, creative industry specifically, upgrading a lot of tourist sites. Now, you're doing creative, but we sometimes forget the tourism bit. But in America is because we've seen movies. New York. New York has been sold to us as some New Yorker. You fall in love with it before you even arrive there. But because of what we are consuming, we want to go and see it, and that is what drives the tourism. So it's an interdependent industry. Completely, of course, Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park, Kintampo Waterfalls, Bonso Eco Park, Nzulezu Village, refurbished Salaga Slave Market, Pikoro Slave Market, ATIC Phase 2, Tafiato Monkey Sanctuary, Boenre Kente Museum. Infrastructure and Kasanso, apart from upgrading the various tourist sites, we are building these amphitheaters. Now, amphitheaters, no, Kumasi Dieno, we are projecting, say, it will be ready by end of this year at the Amamo. So there's work going on now in earnest. But we're building two, one is in Accra, one is in Kumasi. We're going to build a nationalism park, the Tano Boise Sacred Grove, the Geese Park, Creative Arts School, the Inchurachachere Eco Park, and a copyrights clinic, which is what we were talking about, where we have legal avenues and legal assistance. We're going to have those clinics across all 16 regions of ours. And our achievement in terms of governance around the creative industry, we've set up the National Film Authority to evolve a dynamic and self-sustaining and culturally conscious film industry. We've passed, of course, the Creative Arts Bill and set up the Creative Arts Agency to develop this thriving industry. Of course, the LI on tourist sites and attractions has also been passed. Creative Arts Directorate created by the Ministry and Public-Private Partnership Forum has also been created, and we've completed a draft on Creative Arts Education Bill. Our achievement in terms of marketing our country, which is also what impacts the creative industry. As you all know, we've put a spotlight on Ghana through the Year of Return, Beyond Return, December in GH, Ghana Week or DC. We've done Ghana Week in South Africa. We've synchronized various online platforms to facilitate operations and information access, and of course the Global Citizen Collaboration for Education and Global Outreach. All of these programs have given platforms to our artists, to all the people who work within the space, into building stages, the lights, and all of those people have had gigs doing because of all of these Year of Return, December and GH. People are getting gigs to go and play at where they probably wouldn't have got it. So that's a sort of the creative thinking community, creative arts community. Ministry of Tourism and its agencies have also facilitated support to various stakeholders and players. And this includes grants to Mesia Museum, the Pan-African Heritage Museum. It has also provided film support to over 20 film producers by the Ghana Tourism Authority. There's also a film pitch by the National Film Authority and support for several festivals, including Chalewote, Little Havana Rhythms, West Side Festival, and Afrofuture. So our achievements in terms of business support, music publishing workshops, phase one of the project involves regional stakeholder engagements and the advanced stage of training 20 Ghanaian music entrepreneurs to become internationally certified publishers. A film pitch, as I mentioned earlier, and then support for also the various festivals. Now, in terms of business support, we have also deepened cultural diplomatic relations between Ghana and Spain through live musical tour of Ghanaian musicians vis-a-vis by the Casa Africa through the Ministry of Tourism and Arts. And we've supported the creative sector by making it possible for upcoming events, organizers and creatives to organize shows through the Accra Metropolitan Assembly Office in partnership with a private partner, Snap Media. And in digitization, we've digitized revenue collection at the various castles, forts, and sites. There's a national single window platform for regulation and licensing of tourism establishments, and a Visit Ghana app created to provide tourists with a comprehensive guide to attractions, accommodation, activities, and improving accessibility. So we've done a lot. There's been a steady increase in foreign tourism, established quarterly forums, and others. But I just want to give you some numbers now, and yet tangible, the conversation we're having. So in terms of job creation within the travel and tourism, as of 2016, we created 190.14 thousand. By 2019, we had created 777,000, and in 2023, 840,000. Wow. That's an astronomical leap from 190 to Today we're at 840. Tourism receipts were at $1.6 billion in 2016. In 2019, $3.3 billion US dollars. And today it's $3.8 billion US dollars. Arrivals, 932,000 in 2016, 1,130,000 in 2019, and today it's 1,148,000. Domestic tourism. So all of this work is also improving domestic tourism. So all these sites that we've upgraded is encouraging people to go out. Yeah, Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park. Everybody is going there regularly. Domestic tourism. As of 2016, we were at 457,000. 2019, 669,000. And today we are at 1,407,000. That's where we've come from. In terms of licensed tourism enterprise, which is like accommodation, hotels and things, and also 2,798. In 2019, 4,131. Today we are at 4,630. Food and beverage, 4,486 in 2016. Today we are at 647. Hotel occupancy, 5-star hotel occupancy was at 60% in 2016. Today it is 71%. And then average length of stay was 8 days. Today we're doing 30 days. So we can see the impact interventions on the industry through the various impacts. So what are our commitments? What is the way forward? As I said, this conversation is about Yedachi. What are we doing? What is the future for us? We know that some of our creatives want exposure. You need to travel, meet your counterparts, have gigs abroad. So we're going to implement a travel protocol service to support artists, performers, and other creatives. We're also going to provide tax incentives and seed funding to stimulate private sector investments in arts, including attracting international events. Tax cuts now it's We're setting up a cultural heritage fund to provide sustainable funding for the Chieftains Institution and cultural heritage production. We're going to set up Ghana as a conference and exhibition destination through conferencing facilities. And I'm sure a lot of you have seen the trade fair, what we're trying to do at the trade fair. That is part of, putting together and making Ghana a conferencing hub. And of course, it's a conference, but most of the gigs are here or conference hall. And then it will of course also create a venue with large enough capacity. If you're having a show, instead of a hall that can take 1,000, if you can take 3,000, that's more revenue per gig that you're going to have. We're also going to accelerate Ghana's aviation potential by intensifying efforts to establish our national airline. We're constructing a multi-story car park at Kotoka International Airport, revamping the runway overlay and dedicating Terminal 2 to regional flights so that our neighbors can also come in easily. And we're going to extend the Kumasi Airport runway so that bigger aircrafts can land here, and we will develop Sunyani Airport. We will also construct the Cape Coast Airport and then an airport in the Upper East region. As you know, we've built 2 major airports. You see, Prempeh the second airport, and I see Tolon Asudie, Ewo Yakubutali Airport, Ewo Tamale. We're going to preserve the heritage by working with relevant stakeholders to embark on a massive archival project to protect our historic films and documents. We'll facilitate the tracking, collection, and distribution of royalties to enable creative access and manage your revenues. I think that's a big thing, especially for the music artists. because you're not able to get your royalties as you're supposed to do, but we will, through digitalization, we can ensure that. And we will, of course, increase public sector investment in tourism and creative arts, and will maximize opportunities around copyright, payments for content, and revenue flow, as well as data for analytics. So we will use technology to achieve all of these. As we said, digitalization, it's not just and it's a computer, but you're using the new technology to leverage on whatever you're doing already. That's basically what digitalization is. It creates efficiency. Emma katasishene proyeno e super form na emmanuel and so ko wano. Intino, we'll use digitalization to achieve a lot of these. We're going to implement the e-visa system. We'll introduce an e-visa policy for nationals of African and Caribbean countries. And then we'll also establish regional creative hubs to foster innovation and collaboration among the creative sector. And then, as I said, there'll be tax incentives, including flat tax to promote private sector investments. And it will also develop a digital marketing platform for Ghanaian content. It was commissioned a few weeks ago, and every week, I've lost track of the days. Dr. Bawumia Echo commissions digital platform for the creatives. And so I started aiding a bosheniso. And he's going to also establish a national hospitality training school to prioritize training and upskilling for the. We'll also develop a policy to make Ghana a strategic medical tourism hub in the region through private-public partnership. And we'll accelerate ongoing investments in coastal sea defense programs. And that's how infrastructure supports your work. Because once you protect the sea areas, then tourism will also grow. We'll protect those communities and enhance their tourism potential. We'll also enhance diplomatic relations with the Caribbean through our diplomatic missions and cultural ties. We'll accelerate the implementation of diaspora engagement policy to enhance diaspora contribution to national development and explore partnerships to provide sector for gold tourism. In Tier Gold, we're going to focus on how we can make tourism out of it. That's also something that's important. And we'll also invest in attracting tourists from new markets like Asia to increase global tourism market share. And then implementation of the Beyond the Return and December in Ghana programs. We're also going to continue with that. And we'll strategically integrate the road networks, as our minister said. Here, and we are focused on that because Nigerian movie also a Nigerian movie. It's become very iconic, and that's what we need to do. We need to be able to do iconic infrastructure works that you know which city you're in, you know which country the movie is coming from. And we're going to enhance economic ties and expand markets and leverage the African free continental free trade agreements to attract investments and boost made in Ghana tourism services. So to conclude, let me just say that the goals and commitments that we are making to the creative and arts and tourism sectors are aimed at driving economic growth, creating jobs, and enhancing the nation's cultural and global presence. The combined benefits of job creation, economic growth, and cultural preservation, enhanced accessibility, skills development, and global presence underscores a transformative vision for Ghana's future. And as I said, we have to look at who we are giving our power to make these decisions for us. One of the kind of food drapa, a piano maneko, into a food drapa, ya ye jumading, and you'll be ana. But once we're on the right track, in him say and once we are also committed to you, and I'm going to make a personal commitment to you. I know Dr. Bawumia cares about the industry because he understands the economy will be at the net in a yema. But me so, because of my unique passion, me a young kakra, but because of my own passion as well, I will be a voice for the creative space. I will make sure say yes,
Good evening, Your Excellency Samia. Yamin Shram. A year Odofupa. Nasem na ye digitalization. And also moja. Na sa moja ne ko wote wo Ghana ha. Say industry ni be here. It's a sa moja ayefo. The moja na make an the cost of data. The cost of data. And he me person be san say and dear ben na mubetimi aye because they say yeah the content na e go streaming platforms e go online na say data no boy yet the economic benefit I was here we ntini the best say we ya go bibi baye kina e ma bibi sa say e dear na say what share your boss e be ye PR office dey mi mo ba mi na mi vitamin for my body pa intimate super say data no ne born na ma for man Mr. May they give personal commitment to the industry say I will chase you wherever you go to make sure that we drive down the cost of data. Thank you very much.
O kasanoka paid content and in say kuru on one if say before say app bi be cost no e be call no e wo say empanimfo no hwem say ye beboa ana say moa ansana o ma September app no abakrumo and in say TikTok and TikTok ne o country bra mu tua ufiku de content to so a o see tua woka bagana ha say why life amobi actual coins ansana when yeska and we have more than 10,000 people creating content to go TikTok and if say 10,000 people we say every month there say app ni tua ka and go hweduma onko pa ban duma kra no aye because we can hear duma dada e dey na mbaya afa ho because countries go mu tua are na Ghana dey and but want to mean to know tua ya ka abra ye ni provide on content and coming to filming kubu onwa say okay say money movie we are movie now if say is talking about good things about the country ye ji movie no na of course we no ye tua ma say sakwe for bra if it's only talking about good things about the country Salon producers no ye di problem because you say ye wo go form beton ye dwuma man enti ye besi cinemas ye be ne mani nyina awie ni wie na mia na mesa akoton ma de mia na mesa akwa ha stress ne be bebre die nwie no e bia mi tiri san ko yi movie ni biem eno so dey na ba ya fa ho se be boka ye awie e kwan be on be boa me ama me so betumi asend me movies me na wasi.
Good evening, Her Excellency. Pacho, you said so much about your vision for us. In Sinama, the Namekan Grammy, because it was so beautiful, but convincingly, because we are in the industry, most of the things you spoke about was mainly, about the governance of the country. But we are actresses, actors, movie industry. Convincingly, please, what can you tell us that when your husband comes on power, he will do to support the industry? Because the industry is what we live for. You know him more than Mepacho industry, when you people come, you tell us, but so especially with the theater that you wanted to build for us. Yes, convincingly, we'll say young hold you accountable if these promises are not fulfilled. Convince us so that when your husband comes.
Now, straight to my question. One of them you have actually answered, that has to do with the amphitheater, because way back in May, the deputy minister actually told us that the project was going to be done in 3 months. Down the line, the minister, that's Ejepa Mensah, told us that it was going to be done, but then by December, like he said. In September, the deputy minister told us that funds were depleted. He told us that the World Bank had actually granted $500,000 for each project. Unfortunately, it was not enough, and that the minister was going to go to Parliament to seek for additional funding. I don't know if that funding has been provided, reason why we are being told that it will be done by December. So it makes me wonder, with all these promises, as in 3 months it will be done, funds are not available, we are going to Parliament, and now we are being promised that yes, December it will be done. How certain are we that yes, it will be done in December? Again, with the Creative Arts School, you know, when we talk about the industry and all that, yes, we appreciate all that's happening in Accra. But in Kumasi, for instance, this is one of the things that would have actually helped. Education. Since we really want to build this industry, knowledge is very important. The Creative Arts School, as we talk, I passed by not too long ago, and it's been abandoned, like there's nobody there. So what's happening to the Creative Arts School? Are we going to continue it, or we're just going to let it rot? Thank you very much.
Mine has to do with, we've been here for some time now, and most of the things that you highlighted in your presentation has to do with tourism. And looking at the creative arts industry, our part, most of the people here put together beautiful events and things that need venues for such events to take place. But if you look at Ashanti region, every event organizer coming to this side will say that Kumasi will event anyway. If you want to put together an event for 5,000 people, we don't have it. Also, so most event promoters are not excited coming to Kumasi for major events. Hence, most of the events are left in Accra. Looking at December in Ghana, all the major highlights are in Accra. None thinks about Kumasi as the second home because we don't even have the centers for such events to take place. So I am asking that what would be that thing that the would-be government of Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia has for this region with respect to infrastructure development, not just the initiatives or that kind of thing, but things that we can look to and say that this is an event ground that we can have our events and we have a certain right. Now, to add to what I want to ask about, now we were promised of a film village. We were promised of a cultural village. We were promised of an edifice befitting an international conference center, which the soft cutting was done at the Golden Bee Hotel. Up until now, after 3 years, we haven't seen those things coming to reality. We appreciate the fact you having us here, gathered in this auditorium for this wonderful gathering. But we appreciate the fact that we are being told the truth about how we want to face boldly with how the future for this creative industry is going to be, not just promises in papers that wouldn't see the day of light. Thank you.
We'll keep our fingers crossed, and I'm sure they would meet their word. And then an event venue in Kumasi, you're right. Even in Accra, it's a challenge, and that's why we're also encouraging private sector partnerships. If there is a real need, which I believe there is, for a big enough venue, that is an investment opportunity. So that is why we're saying we're going to provide tax incentives. So if you go and get a partner out there, so everybody in this room, this is an opportunity for you. Find somebody who can help construct a big enough center here. Here, where we are right now is a private place. So private sector also does things that supports the industry. But if you can find someone to partner with, government will provide tax incentives and other incentives, including flat taxes, which I spoke about earlier. And so we can also look at what governments will do in future. But for this industry, it's important that government supports other private sector efforts. So it's a good observation, and hopefully the amphitheater will be the starting point in the future if things permit. I'm sure government itself would want to build, but in the meantime, private sector partnership will be great, especially given that government will incentivize them to do it. About the cultural village, film village, I cannot answer why it's not done, so I will look into it for you. Right? And about the cathedral and corruption, as I said, this conversation is about the future. Is about the government led by Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia and what he will do for this sector. And as you know, a lot of the digital platforms that have been put in place, your question is more on how do we minimize corruption, how do we minimize misapplication of funds. And all of these digital platforms are doing just that. And that is why Bawumia is one who has championed digital platforms. If you have payment systems that go a certain route, you know that you cannot cut corners. The way he's proposing that our taxes are even collected. Today, we have Ghana.gov where almost all our payments go into. So Bawumia as an individual himself is committed to good governance. He himself is a very honest and astute man. So I believe his leadership will also bring that to bear. So you can be sure that a government led by Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia will do everything in its power to curb corruption and misapplication of funds. But when we talk about corruption, we only talk about government. It is an ecosystem that also encourages and partakes in it. So as citizens, we should also commit, because even some of these platforms, people are sitting there and thinking, how do we circumvent the platform? So we should all be upright and demand of our leaders what we ourselves are ready to do. But I can assure you that Dr. Bawumia is an honest man. He's incorruptible. In the last 8 years he's been in government, there hasn't been a single credible allegation of corruption leveled against him. And that demonstrates to me that as president, he'll be astute. Thank you.
All right.
Private individuals of the creative industry, so we pay. Maybe a Jaguar Sema, on my list of man discussion production movie. And now, even houses and cars, they dash into the celebrities. And on numbers, the numbers are huge. 320 million people. It is a million movie, quite 1 million share, they will cut it in. And the issue of data which was raised, I hope the last time we engaged Dr. in Accra, he said something about the private, he's going to have a conversation with the telecoms to see a way of meeting up and now data not call for now a huge number of people can stream our movies. Because in Nigeria, data is very cheap. It's already YouTube, they do a lot of productions. With the issue of showing foreign soap opera, TV stations, but this is what they say. Almost your production, it costs them so much. So soap opera $100 per episode. No matter don't be what cheap, which is not acceptable. It's really wrong. It's the moving from Kumasi, and it's the same thing we are going through in Accra. So with one voice, yes, but I'm also Kumasi was say, and the account and the Santini. It is because of the account Kumasi and one account Accra. So it's one voice. The umpire said, His Excellency Dr. Bawumia said the work council flat rates for all people, tax, whether we are there, a bit boy now. Also, maybe I will come about the GDP, how we contribute to the GDP. Now, when Yeye show, they employ people. They employ actors, be it musicians, whoever is performing. They employ soundman, lightman. They employ people who sell food, food vendors, and all this stuff. Now, the creative art does not only single on movies and musicians. It's a big industry, it's tourism. So at the end of the day, we contribute a lot. December in Ghana, Afro Fusion, all those shows that they do in Accra and Kumasi, even this December, a All Black Party will reach condos. They normally do it every year. It brings a lot of people, it creates employment for people. So indirectly, even if you think maybe they didn't say the figure, we contribute a lot to the development and to the GDP. Sorry? Yeah, you said you couldn't explain the percentage, and I'm telling you, data statistics, and that's what I'm saying. It's, yeah, data-wise, it's a huge industry which creates room for employment. Yes. So at the end of the day, we are not left out. Whether you're a fashion designer, you're a seamstress, you're a props person, you're a set designer, it's all an ensemble. It's something that we all benefit. So let's push the agenda and pray. Come 7 December, victory will be ours. We intend this before, but
important point is mature to her. We'll make sure, say, going forward, we'll give honor to those who deserve to be honored as a nation. We have to celebrate those who are doing good and those who are using their talent for the good of the nation. Thank you for that suggestion. Cap and incentives for imports of equipment. Said within the broader conversation about tax incentives, I think it's important say the imports of equipment, taxes there was with the trigger. So I'll make sure that that is also considered. I'm not aware of the details in terms of whether equipments come on and come on. If we make sure say they are come on equipment also. I have not wait to me movies it's true. If you phone about I think for a lot of foreign guests never, they even come here with a lot of caution. As you know, Africa differently from the way Africa really is. In terms of the background, urban open and I say, more restricted the movement. But yes, we have said, yes, in our negotiations or our conversations with them, we open their eyes to the world beyond Accra to say, maybe this is also a place to come, especially for investment. But it's a chicken and egg story. Maybe too is because the facilities are not here. But maybe too, if they come, the facilities will follow because the investors will see Kumasi or wherever else they go and invest. So it's also a good point that we can follow through on. Film Village Assembly Etiaka, so Yebedi so. And that's why this conversation is important. Because but as you speak to more people, you get more ideas. We'll take a note of it. And of course, data on create. I understand your question. You're saying that we haven't quantified the data. It's not that you're disputing that it's, supports the economy. I know it is a given. Say creative arts contributes significantly to the economy, but we need to quantify the data. We need to segregate that data. Say, they can't say you bit me proposal, proposal, and when I started my introductory remarks, I said, America, TV from Anopa. Into American TV, morning shows, afternoon shows, evening shows, they are interviewing celebrities. And the celebrities are because they are doing movies, TV shows. So it's like a cycle. These people, it's like that same cycle that is feeding the economy. TV is benefiting from it. The movies are benefiting, so it's like there's no show that there's no celebrity. You're either watching them perform their show or watching them being interviewed about their show. So every show is about Hollywood and the film industry. So I get what you're saying, and it's important that we recognize that. In the Broadcasting Act, I think it's a very important point, which will add, Madam Lawyer, we'll put it together for you. I see what you mean about free zones. And as you said, we think about creative arts as informal sector of the economy, but it is time to make it a formal sector in our economy. And if you think about it in that context, say a formalizer, then you would know say it should benefit from programs like a free zones and also say a mass locker. And Dr. Bawumia also is going to set up an SME bank. So that SME bank can support the industry and should support the industry, God willing, say, and then I've also had conversations. You talked about how Maslow and marketing creative arts. In fact, we've had conversations. These are informal conversations, but now that you mention it, I think it's something worth putting across about having desks in our foreign missions that promote culture. And other than, because we have the economic desk, but within the economic desk, those conversations ought to be had. So maybe these are things that we can bring into the training for our diplomats now or more out. So I thank you for that suggestion. And support for creatives in Kumasi. But I agree with you, say. We need to support the industry. This is the hub of creativity. So this is the hub of creativity. And the Nigerian dominance there, it is an issue, it's a real issue. You said there's a Netflix office there and all of that. The truth is, they have power because of their numbers. It makes economic sense for the foreigners to go to Nigeria. For instance, let me give you an example. This is not related to creative arts, but just so that we understand, PayPal, some of the payment platforms. So Dr. Bene has been pushing to get those payment platforms because it's part of expanding the economy. If you can order things directly, Obi Kotombe charging it 3 times MIN. That's part of it. Everybody wants to make supernormal profits in Ghana. Obi to idea $1, person turn $5. You know, so we're looking at, or let me say, Dr. Bene was looking at how to get those payment platforms here so that you can buy directly. Not just say, Nyoma bo back off on because when him said if I could base me at on to so like by hundreds folds. But he was having a challenge because they are looking at the size of the economy. So and the size of the economy is just a factor of the numbers. Sometimes Nigeria is not necessarily a more attractive destination than Ghana. In fact, Nigerians, Ghana's are butchery. But for some of these things, it is because they have the numbers, so it makes economic sense to set up there first. But we will get there. We'll keep pushing and make sure, say, eventually they'll get to year level. Of course, participation in film festivals, that should be a priority for our next Minister for Tourism and Creative Arts. We should have a vehicle where our people participate. Traveling with artists, no. What is it, Mrs. Bawumia, as I come for year to choir? Money, my time, dear, when you're mobile. Ghana for an eventual me into the Samoja to say, in your year to Panas Bacona, Miss your fine girl, Betty Mechi. So, money, my time, dear, and in your own vehicle, and one. But I think it's a good idea. It would be nice for certain fora to go with artists. It's part of selling the country and promoting the culture through content and using film as a means for communication. I mean, film is powerful. I think we are underestimating the power of film. And when we say film, we mean film television. The power of what you see, what you hear. And that's the example I gave you of America. America, is because of what the story they have sold to us. Inti ufil say Oko America, Oko New York, in Grand and Nampo. But you still in your mind, because you've seen New York as that shiny thing, you want to believe that is what it is. We should really look at, if we're developing this country, how we're developing, apart from the formal processes, how do we use this industry to boost our country? Because it's sort of a revolving door. It's a cover, this one impacts the other. So I'm with you on that so far. So, and then about the India visit, I didn't go to India to go and see what they were doing. No, that's not why. I went to India on a conference. I went to a conference for the UN. So I was there at the UN, and then the mission. So we have a consul general there in Mumbai. So he said this. I hadn't even seen it at the time. I'll tell you for free, not meaning what it was. But so my staff said that, they almost show Ghana, and they wanted me to see how the production was done. And it was very close to the hotel where we were staying. And that's how I ended up there. So I didn't go to India to go and look at how they were. But having said that, when I met with them, we discussed their production and how, what they had in mind for Ghana, because Ghanaians were watching it, because I'd been briefed that it was very popular at the time and Ghanaians were watching, and they were happy at the time to even come and set up studios in Ghana so that they would rewrite their stories and morph it into the Ghanaian culture. But I think also the uproar that happened post that gave them some cold feet. But I wasn't there to even have that conversation, so I honestly didn't even follow up on it, because after that there was really no need to be seen to be championing that matter. But it was just something that happened as a consequence of my being there. And of course, as we discussed, if we have this Broadcasting Act, then there will be proper regulation in terms of content. Now, you're making sure that yes, so your content, if we are forced to consume, we'll begin to appreciate it. Because if you don't have the opportunity to consume, and the proper now who say, what this Broadcasting Act can do is to force us to consume the content, and by so doing, we'll also begin to appreciate what it is, and then also invest in it. Apatakesi said, and then the pension scheme for the creators, that's an interesting idea, because we also have to look at the employers. Are they paying your SNIT for you? So if we have to legislate that, if we have to make sure that every job that is within the creative space has to have a pension payment as part of it. But then of course that would increase cost of production, but we should be ready for that, and so government's role can be in enforcing, say, employer be into your pension, and if there is another program that we can all, say this is how we can also devise a new pension strategy, so now, and also maybe on your own volition, so that's something we can look at. We talked about the streaming app. Ghana has a streaming app now, and we have it work. Now the tool has been provided. It is how we utilize this. And stand-up comedians, we thank you for all the laughter that you give us. And of course, you also need incentives. So these tax incentives is something we're really going to push to make sure that shows are supported. I think we supported our boys with the venue for their concert. And I remember when I had a meeting with them at the time, they were telling me how much it costs to rent the stadium, for their December show. And so we spoke to the authorities and we got them the venue. So those are things that we can directly do.
Well, a round of applause for that, please.
Those are things that we can directly do. But let me just wrap up by reiterating again, sir. I'm truly passionate about your industry, and I appreciate what it takes to make something out of nothing. Because that's really what you do. You make things out of nothing. And is also a big contributor to our nation's development in diverse ways. So we are committed to supporting you, and I am personally committed to supporting you. I want to have an open door policy with you, and I want you, after this conversation, look at the proposals we are putting forth, look at the gaps in it, and furnish us with those gaps, and we'll make sure we see it through. So thank you so much for your time. God bless you.
And so on that note, we have the music poster boy of MPP right now, the nation's worship our Hanum. And it's brother Samuel Hanum, I don't know, let's see, yeah, Antomos.
If you want us to do it, your name is Miracle Films. Only in Sana Fe. Now, who said, Mamma, Nana, or Hene, but your grandson. DJ, let's go. Oh, Mama, one son, I got Mama, David, come.
Yeah.